entropy and how to generate it. Lopp, I saw you post, you had some mycelium entropy generator that you played with a couple of years ago. Talk about how to properly generate entropy and how much is enough.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem that comes down to is how do you know if you have the appropriate level of entropy? And in general, the other hardware devices like Trezor, Ledger, or whatnot, as far as I know, and I think we can be pretty comfortable saying that they are properly generating sufficient level of entropy. Now this, you say, how do you know? Trezor is open source. I'm sure even more people are going to be going and inspecting all of that code now. In fact, like there are entire teams of people that are devoting tens of thousands of dollars of hardware and compute time to doing that. So, I mean, that's kind of the bright side to all of this is that, whenever there is a security incident, the result is, Bitcoin and this whole ecosystem is anti-fragile, and so we are going to get stronger as a result. We are going to continue to improve our best practices. But for the average like normal person who they may have heard this concept of don't trust, verify. I think we should probably have a bit more self-reflection on that mantra and be more honest with ourselves that very few people actually have the capability of verifying, especially at the software level and especially at the hardware level. Like even myself with a computer science background, I can read code generally. I don't have the capability to inspect hardware. Like that's something that, like maybe the Ledger Donjon team has the capability to do, but like almost nobody has the capability to do that. So point being, at some level, you're probably going to be trusting someone or something in this process, unless you're doing your own entropy generation. What does that mean? Well, like even the device that I showed, that was an interesting little toy that never really took off. The way to be sure is if you are physically doing something with your own hands. So that's where you start to see stuff about rolling dice or getting playing cards and picking them up. But then, of course, you're having to take that and you're having to do something to translate that into the number, which ultimately results in the huge, 2 to the 128 size number that Jan was mentioning earlier. And this is where, once again, the sort of don't trust, verify thing becomes a problem, because you're probably going to be using some software to do that translation. Are you going to then go read the software that's doing that translation? Probably not. There is something called Codex 32, which is, I think, a sort of pencil and paper way of doing it. But, that is going to take a lot of work. So you got to be pretty dedicated to do that. So, what I guess would be the best practice for a non-technical person, if you want to be super duper sure, I mean, there's a few options. Of course, there's the like multi-key, multi-vendor option of just you don't trust any one vendor, and you're generating entropy on multiple different pieces of hardware and software from different vendors, and then it's okay if one of them has weak entropy because it doesn't bust your whole wallet. If you're doing single sig, though, I think you would want to do something similar, where you're going to want to have multiple different pieces of software and hardware that are all running that same numerical translation, so that you're not trusting any one, but you're basically verifying, or you're attesting them against each other to make sure that they're both doing the same thing, and therefore the likelihood that they both have the same exact vulnerability or bug becomes much lower.
And I think the thing with this is, we're talking a lot about entropy right now. The chance of there being another entropy bug feels pretty low because of this, everybody's paying a lot of attention to entropy. The chances of there being a different kind of bug that might affect your funds in a different way, maybe it's not as catastrophic as the entropy bug, but some other kind of security vulnerability, This is security. It's a constant game of cat and mouse, whereas people make updates to the products that they put out there for people to use for this. They have a chance of introducing bugs, and there are attackers out there that are always searching for holes in the code or whatever product you're using that they can take advantage of. And so you want to plan to protect yourself with multiple levels of defense so that you are prepared no matter what the vulnerability is.
Wait, you're telling me I can win free Bitcoin every day just by dropping a chip? Check out Sats Drop from Rhino. You get 3 free drops every day with chances to win up to 10,000 sats instantly. And if the super drop activates, we're talking bonus drops, multipliers, and jackpots of up to 100,000 sats redeemed right in your Rhino wallet. Sign up for free now and start stacking sats.
And another way to add entropy on top is the passphrase, 25th word. We mentioned that briefly before. Jan, talk to us. How do you properly make a passphrase in this environment?
Yeah, so passphrase, in order to be really safe, has to be super long and random. In order for it to be random, you should use some software, probably, that generates a random passphrase, like password manager. Then again, you're trusting some software, but a lot of these tools are open source and battle tested. So that's one way to generate the passphrase. But of course, if you do this, there is the drawback that you digitalize the passphrase. So there is some digital footprint. Maybe controversial, but I think that is fine as long as the seed itself doesn't have a footprint. But again, if there is a vulnerability in the seed generation, then this doesn't help you much. So all in all, I'm a little bit skeptical about passphrases. It's a very advanced feature we've been recommending with Trezor for a long time, but it's also a massive footgun for people. So it's no longer a default feature in Trezor Suite, because what people do is that they set a passphrase, then they forget about it because they treat it as a password. And then they reach out to our customer support, hey, can I reset the passphrase? And unfortunately, no, you lost your Bitcoin. So passphrase is a way that can help you here, but really it's an advanced feature, not for everyone. So not really a silver spoon that can help you.
I wanted to point out real quick that I'm so glad that Jan just said that, because if you're going around listening to Twitter Spaces for the last few days, you're hearing all of the kind of influencer guys being like, use a passphrase, roll dice, do these different things to add entropy. And when you talk to the people who are building products used by lots of people to do these things, they're telling you people tend to mess up passphrases because they forget that they did it, and then they think it's a password, and then they lose all their money. And so it behooves people to listen to the people who have the battle scars of we have actually dealt with lots and lots of customers using Bitcoin wallets. And some of these things that are being suggested as so easy by the experts are for many people big time foot guns.
Yeah, it's very easy to do what I would call actually perfectly securing your Bitcoin. And this is one of the things about security in general, and I think this is what makes a lot of people uneasy in this space, is that actually there is no such thing as a guaranteed security or perfect security, unless you're talking about something where if you want to perfectly secure your Bitcoin, you basically generate a private key, send the Bitcoin to the corresponding address, and then you destroy the private key. Great. You now have perfectly secure Bitcoin. However, it's not very useful Bitcoin to you. So the problem with the security game, and the reason why this is a big industry, and the reason why this is never going to stop being a back and forth, is that what all of us here, like everyone who works at a security related organization, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the right balance between security and convenience. We want people to be able to use their Bitcoin when they want to, while, you know, not allowing unauthorized people to use their Bitcoin. And, you know, that's the real challenge, especially then when you have been in the space long enough and you start seeing just all of the ways that people can naively and accidentally harm themselves. And it's an unfortunate problem that I think is the natural result of just freedom in general, is that, you know, people love exercising their freedom, but they don't always like having to put in the effort required to actually take the responsibility that comes along with it.